What's up everyone? Sinister here with another video. It's 2023 is about to come to a close, and I just want to show off my favorite games in no particular orders. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. But before we go any further, if any of these games are your favorites, drop it in your comments down below. With that being said, be sure to drop a like, subscribe. Let's go ahead on to the list, y'all. Let's go ahead and start off with Robocop Rogue City. That first I was skeptical about this game until I saw Michael Casanova's review. Shout out to him. If you want to check out his review, the link is in the description down below. Anyways, like the choice, to go with the first person mechanic, it was epic, It's basically playing Call of Duty, except, you're just using Robocop. But the way you grab enemies, you can throw them around, bust through walls, like using slow motion and just taking out bad guys that way. Plus the gore and the violence that Robocop is known for is here too. Now the plotline is a filler between Robocops 2 and 3, and the gameplay is top notch. I'll rank it up there with the arcade game and Robocop vs. Terminator. Here we have Alan Wake 2, and boy, this game is really trip you out. Graphically, man, it looks like, it's awesome in performance mode, but the amount of detail that they've done, like from the forest down to the town, and it kind of looks like an episode of Twin Peaks. But as for the gameplay, it's cool controlling Saga and Alan respectively, and using that flashlight plus your gun takes out the enemy. It's been the theme of the series, but when it comes to the narrative, Alan Wake 2 has nailed it at every aspect. I find the voice acting is cool, seeing how they react and, when disaster strikes. And finally hearing this game and Control are part of the same universe, so big up for Remedy, for creating games that connect one another without being a sequel. Even though Alan Wake 2 is a sequel, but only in its own respective series. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, Kazuma Kiryu returns in this latest entry. He pulled a Machiavelli faking his death. Graphically, this game looks amazing, and as usual, the gameplay is top notch. Beating out bad guys with different moves is one of my favorite things to do, and plus damaging them with weapons in the environment never gets old. Also like the other version, Ishin, but that game gets an honorable mention. The Man Who Erased His Name is a great game if you enjoy taking in the long, lengthy dialogue. We have Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and what I love about this is the gameplay mechanics, with the new characters have different attributes. Like for example, Yoshi is immune to some damage, and while the human characters can take 2 hits and before, the damage before, they lose a life. Like human characters like Mario, Princess Peach, so on and so forth. And also what I like is like the new power-ups, like, they got that elephant power-up, like they can sit there, use their trunk, and, just as a power that, use as a weapon against enemies, and the other things. And I know, of course, the final thing I like is the game is not set in the Mushroom Kingdom, so you know what, hey, you done what you could in the Mushroom Kingdom, let's take it somewhere else, like the Flower Kingdom. Of course, like the concept of the game is to help the prince of the Flower Kingdom from Bowser. So Basic Power stole his power and used it for himself, so it's up to Mario Company to take him out and get that power back. But overall, graphically, Super Mario Bros. Is an amazing game, and it's always cool taking out Bowser and his bratty kids. Now we have Spider-Man 2. I got this game the same day as Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and enjoying the gameplay using both Miles and Peter respectively, separately, and tagging up. Kraven is definitely menacing in his own way, like the way he takes out Spidey Rose Gallery one by one. It was a matter of time until we saw Venom show up, but I know it was fun in using the symbiote suit, but the story on the other hand is alright. Enjoyed the plot of the first game even more. I spent a lot of time grinding just to level up both men so that way I can be prepared to deal with Kraven and his goons. And also dealing with the other Spider-Man villains. At times it's funny, seeing that you're rescuing them other than fighting them. Someone like Tombstone, for example, because he doesn't even fight you in this one. You end up rescuing him later on. But gameplay-wise, I ranked Spider-Man 2 right behind the first one, but then before Miles Morales. Next, we have Hi-Fi Rush. I know when Shinji Mikami talked about this game and announced it to everyone that you could play it right away. I mean, this shadow drop came out of nowhere, and graphically it looks cool, like, anime-like, with its graphics and the visuals. shell shading, like, I mean, just the whole shebang in its presentation. And basically, this action game is mixed with, rhythm-based moves. So it took me a while to get used to the mechanics, but after that, I went to town on the robots. Shaw and Peppermint remind me of the two duo from Jet Set Radio. I know the girl's name is gone, but I forgot the main dude's name, but it'll come to me later. But anywho, like for Shaw, I like his personality. He doesn't take things too seriously until it really happens. But as far as the gameplay go, it's awesome. Definitely overall worth playing. Here you have Mortal Kombat 1. As with Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1 also did something different. This is a retelling with the same fighters in different situations, like Raiden is not meant being a thunder god, but a simple farmer. He later gains his lightning powers, and there's a mode on there you can take your fighters into different realms and you collect items, you fight other characters and level them up like an RPG. You got these cameo fighters that help you out as well. I dig the story and how things unfold up until the big event. Another fighting game up there staying up to par with Street Fighter 6. Here we have Street Fighter 6. Capcom's popular fighter returns with his sixth entry in the fighting game genre. Ken and Ryu aren't the leading protagonists this time around. Luke, who debuted in the last game, is the main star. Also, Street Fighter also did something different, and that is create your own fight for the World Tour, where you can take on different challenges and fighters alike just to gain experience. It's cool that you can cross paths with popular fighters in the Street Fighter and Final Fights games respectively. In the Battleground, this is where you take on the computer or your friends or family, and it's funny they added commentary to the matches, like Thea Trinidad, aka Zelina Vega from WWE fame, is one of the commentators. Street Fighter 6 is definitely one of my favorite fighting games. Here you have Dead Space Remake that dropped early this year, and it didn't disappoint. Isaac Clarke this time has more of a personality than his original incarnation, and I enjoy playing games like this in performance mode versus quality, and also the gameplay is more gruesome than the original version. The cutter tool that Isaac uses that decimates his enemies is a plot, and you can use objects and throw them around like all out the force, but I hope the second game ever gets the remake treatments, because that seems to be in the trend lately. Well, whatever platform you're playing this game on, this should be in your collection. And finally, we have Resident Evil 4 Remake. I mean, yeah, here's my favorite game of the year. From the beginning to the end, I enjoyed the experience using Leon just tearing through the village down to the island base. Taking out Sadler and Krauser and rescuing Ashley made it worthwhile. But also, this version of Ashley is not as annoying as her original counterpart. And when I got her armor, it made it easy to cruise through professional without having to worry about rescuing her from the bad guys. And another thing was like the mercenaries mode. And I mean, yeah, during that time going through it, getting the hand cannon, Krauser was my boy. He got me through it. But since then, Wesker was added to the mix. He became my top guy on there. And finally, Separate Ways, the DLC. It was nice seeing things from Ada's perspective. And, it was like it made it all worthwhile playing. So now that concludes my favorite games of 2023. As like I mentioned before in the beginning, it's like if any of these games was your favorite, drop it down in the comments down below. Give this video a like. And like I said, see you in 2024, y'all.